So this week's vlog is going to have some heaviness to it, some lightness and heaviness. Light first, then heavy. But because of the heaviness, we should have Kirby on the screen. Yes, because it's going to get heavy. No, this is not an excuse just to hug Kirby on screen so everyone knows that I like to hug Kirby. No, not at all. I wrote down the vlog topics. Here we go. I shall sit this Kirby on my knee. There you go, like so. Like so. He's a lad. Okay, so it's gonna end heavy because I want to talk about my friend that died. But before we get there, let's talk about other things. So lighter things. So we're gonna talk about. Oh yeah, that's the original one I want to do. A funny story. Dating apps. Whales and gaming. My dead friend at the end. It's so bad that I'm wording that. And stuff with the channel. Okay, so first up the channel stuff. So phone. So next week, starting Tuesday? Yeah, starting Tuesday to Monday, it's 7 days straight of swing shift, which is working from 2 to 10. So that means the usual streaming time obviously isn't happening. So just expect earlier streams. It'll be while some of you are in school and some of you are at work. Yeah, it's going to be not the best time, but I still got to make content is what it is. So you'll just expect to see me at an earlier time for 1 week. And also, obviously, we're not going to be doing, on Saturday, we won't be doing the usual stuff. So it's going to be Jackbox this Saturday, nothing the next Saturday, and then the Saturday after nothing because I'm going to be doing Grave, and I'll probably be focusing on, well, if I do stream at around the usual time, it'll be to make content because I'm going to be doing Grave, and Grave's going to F me up. So that's what's going to happen there. But we expect maybe weird time streams because of Grave. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle it. So at this position, you only do Grave for a week every 5 weeks. So Grave is from 10 to 6 a.m. So the plan, of course, would be to sleep after that point, then wake up. So then I'm awake, I'm doing stuff, and then I do Grave, and then there you go, that's the cycle there. But I'm going to try to take naps before Grave because it's just getting used to that late schedule. And then after a week, I'm off of it. And then I'm just trying to be awake during the daytime again. So I don't like the schedule. Everyone at this job loves the schedule because they don't do Grave for a week. I hate it. I love doing Grave for a month because you get used to it after the first month. After that, you're just in your groove, baby. And then you're there, and then you get out of it, and then you just got to find your groove again in the days. But days are like 4 months straight, so you're good there. So I definitely prefer other plant positions where you're in Graves for a full month and you just know it already. You're just there after a week. You're good. That I definitely prefer. So this is gonna suck. Now the reason why they prefer this weekly thing, where it's every 5 weeks, is because if you're on Graves for a month and you have a relationship, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. And that is true. So let's talk about dating apps. So before that, I want to talk about this tank. Okay, it's a real quick story, and it's about cities. It's about bureaucracy and all that stuff. So, the way a city works, any city, not just mine, the way they work is, I'm just ruffling out because I see some, okay, so the way a city works is usually they try to get the cheapest deal. They always try to get the cheapest deal. And the problem is not everyone's talking when this happens. So at a city, they needed a tank that was 50 feet tall and then something feet wide. And the idea here is it would contain this certain amount of water. At 50 feet tall, whatever feet wide, I think like 15 feet wide, I think it is. Something like that. And at this size, it would hold this amount of water, and it would have, of course, specific head pressure, specific PSI to it. The thing is, how tall the tank was, the contractor's like, ah, crap, that's too tall for my crane. I'm going to have to rent one. It's going to cost another $10,000. Can't we just make the tank wider instead of that tall? It'll still hold the same amount of water. Now, here's the problem. This tank wasn't designed for holding water. This tank was designed for supplying water. So when they made it wider, which they didn't tell the engineer that's what was going to happen, and it wasn't until after it finally got built everyone figured out what was wrong with the situation is it was a supply tank. It was a supply tank that needed a specific amount of pressure. It wasn't there to hold water for storage, it was there to hold water for pressure. So a 55 feet tall tank compared to, it became a 25 feet tall tank, and it was just way wider. That holds the same amount of water, but it doesn't have as much pressure, because the higher something is, the more pressure it has. The taller the water is, the more pressure it has. You could have an ocean, like the size of the ocean, but only 1 foot deep. That much water, it just has 1 feet of pressure. That's it. But if you have like a lake, something way smaller than an ocean, but it's just way deeper, it's going to have way more pressure on a person, because it's not about the water per se, it's about how high the water is pushing down on something. That's what it's about. It's about vertical, not just it there. So that was the problem. And so it took them a while to figure that out, and just people just wanted, just so it was a cheaper job and everything. That's what happened. So then this thing became kind of a useless thing, and they had to put in a pump to put more pressure on it, and that made it more expensive. So by trying to be cheaper, it made things more expensive and more of a hassle. So you got to be smart about the deals you make, because sometimes those are the deals that are going to break. So I just made up that right now. So now I want to talk about dating apps. So dating apps. So Scarf has downloaded more. So what I found is with Tinder is it's a lot of normies. No. What I found with Tinder is I'm not gonna date anyone. I'm just holding a Kirby here. When it comes to Tinder, it's if you like hiking or the beach, people are nuts about that on Tinder. That's what I found. That, and there's a lot of bots, and then there's just dudes and ladies looking for the sugar. That's the way I'll put it. They're not looking for relationships. They're looking for other things. They're looking to get taken care of, which is very unfortunate. Also just a lot of bots. Bumble is a bit nicer. There's a lot more ways to filter and stuff like that. Haven't got that many matches either on that thing. Haven't got many matches on Tinder. Haven't got many matches on Bumble. Unfortunate. Downloaded Match.com and OkCupid. I have like a dozen matches on Cupid, but not a single person has messaged me back. I've only had it for 2 days. Are they all bots? I don't know. Because not that many people can accidentally swipe right. What the hell? Also, what's interesting about OkCupid is there's like some filtering, but there's also a lot of questions. There's like 200 questions you can answer that you can see how well you match up with another person, which is pretty cool. There are some anime people, there are some game people, there's a couple of all these different things. And considering I'm in San Diego, where Comic-Con is, there's a lot of cosplayers. And so that's cool. And match with some, no one talks back. I don't know what to think. But it's interesting, dating apps are interesting. Because my problem is this. I am an extroverted introvert who's really bad at the extrovert part. Also, I have a lot of Kirby, so who's interested in that? A lot of people should be. No. I worry I look very childish because this is my fandom. This is what I like. I also like Deadpool, but I don't have a bajillion Deadpool things because I just really like the character, but I don't need that. My favorite characters are Batman, Deadpool, Wolverine. I like the edgy guys, apparently. And then it's Kirby. You know how weird that is when you think about it? And then Winnie the Pooh. I got Winnie the Pooh somewhere in the back there. You can see Piglet right there on the camera. I'm a really weird combination of things. I like really cool things, and I like really cute things. And so it's like I display some of both of those things, but there's usually people who are just like one thing. So trying to find someone else who's like a combination of things isn't easy, which is weird because people are complex. I guess they're not my complex. Just give me. So I don't know. The other thing is age gap. I don't know how other people feel about age gap. I worry about it a lot. Like I look young, so that happens, but I'm older. So I don't know. Like some people really judge about age gap, some people don't. And my problem is I do worry about what people think about me. After all, I have a channel, so I worry about what people think about me on this. That's putting stress on me. And just worrying what strangers think of me. That's not a good thing for your mental health, to be honest. And yet I do. Also, I worry about, like, because there are people in my age group that like anime and all these things, but they're not on dating apps. Like, honestly, it's the younger generation that's on the dating apps. Like, okay, the older generation that's on the dating apps, they're not into what I'm into. They're not into games. They're not into anime. They're into sports. They're into fashion. They're into hiking, like I've said. Dude, if you're into hiking, get on Tinder. You will find all the ladies. I swear. But me, I'm anime, games. Like, I guess the younger generation things, which is weird because my generation is the one that grew up with these things. But it is what it is. So all I'm finding that are matching me are people like 5 and beyond younger than me. And so I worry I worry, am I being, I don't want to say gross, but is it gross? But it's also things that some people like older men. Some women like older men, some dudes like older women. Cougars are a thing after all. I don't know what you call men. I don't know what you call men at all for that. But it is a thing for some people. But for other people, it's just ew. So, I don't know. I worry about that. I worry about apparently random strangers seeing me match them or message them being much older than them, and them just thinking of me as some gross older gentleman. I worry about that. I don't know, damned if you do. Basically, just the thing about life is, and this is true, is there's a lot of, how do we learn? Success is we learn sometimes, but we majorly learn from failure. That's what really happens. Apparently Kirby's just going to be here in every vlog now. We learn from our failures. We learn from loss. And the better we cope with defeat and loss, the better off we'll be, because we'll be more baseline with defeat instead of going low with defeat, so that when we succeed, we're just go from here and up instead of going all the way from down there to go up. Because being down there sucks. And so that is going to be part of it, is just going through lots and lots of just messages and women and getting turned down and getting turned down and getting turned down, and hopefully finding someone who actually kind of likes some of the things I do. They don't need to like all the anime I like. They don't need to like all the games I like. They don't need to like Kirby, which is the hardest one, of course. No, they don't need to love Kirby. They need to at least tolerate how much I love Kirby. The funniest combination I feel, if life made it happen, is if me and a huge Hello Kitty fan matched up. That'd be the funniest thing, because it'd be the pinkest place. Pink isn't even my color, but I have so much pink around me. Weird. Why am I holding Kirby up here? The problem is how Kirby is, because he's a flying Kirby. So if I hold him just straight up, he's just bleh. He's gonna be in every vlog. He's just gonna be in every vlog now, apparently. I have Kirby everywhere after all. Dating apps are stressful. What's interesting is it has a question of, would you be willing to do long distance relationships? But the thing does give you like ranges, and they suggest, of course, closer range. So what do you mean by long distance relationships in this thing? The thing is, for me, is I'm older, and I worry about my, how to put this, fertility. The older you get, the harder it's going to be, and my biological clock is ticking. Because I'm just getting older and older, and I want to be old enough to do stuff with my kids when they get old enough to do things. And that's what I worry about, because everyone in my family, they all had their kids in their 20s. So, like, me and all my cousins, we're all adults now. But, like, none of us have made grandchildren. And, like, all of us in 20s and up. And yeah, no one's made any grandchildren except for, okay, 2 of them made grandchildren because they got pregnant in high school. But besides them, no one else has. Like, it's also a generational thing where the newer generations are getting kids later in life. But I just worry about how active I'll be as a parent if I have kids like in 10 years instead of like closer to that. The thing is, like, where I'm at, I can maybe afford one more long-term failure. I don't want to put this, like, I'm still young enough that I could do a long-distance relationships. I could do that, like, one more time, maybe. or 2 times. I don't know. Depends on how long they take. Because the thing is, long distance relationships are very hard when you're like, because a lot of the girls I've met and I've done well with have been long distance. And I know a lot of people how that is for them as well. And the hardest part of that is just you're never around each other physically, you're just around each other talking all the time, but it does hurt not being next to each other. And so I dealt with that as long distance relationships back in the day. During my 20s, I had 2 long distance relationships. And what hurt, of course, during those relationships was just not being able to just feel each other. The thing is, now I'm older and I have a job. And, oh, really? And Scarf has airplane money. Like, I can fly to places and visit a lady. So, that's the interesting thing is when you're younger, when you can't afford to fly or anything, that's usually when we see long-distance relationships, at least for the current generations. But when they're old enough to be able to afford to fly out, those relationships have either ended or they've moved in together, so they don't have to worry about that anymore because they're old enough to both have a job. That second thing didn't happen for me, unfortunately. Too bad. The vlogs are what I'm thinking about. And this is definitely what I'm thinking about since I got some new dating apps. And I do feel like I could do it one more time. Like a long distance relationship one more time if I had to. But local would be very helpful. See what happens with the dating apps and everything. Like sometimes I make friends in the Discords and on Twitter and on this and that. Sometimes they go pretty well, and then something happens. And then they're gone. Life is a mixed bag. The internet is a mixed bag. That's kind of just how it is, you know. Secret story. So there was a girl that things were going really well, but the stresses of the internet and social media and everything was just too much, and they had to quit the internet. And they quit everyone, which sucks because we were going pretty well. It's unfortunate. That's actually happened a few times. Well, the other ones were it's more friendships, and then I just lost a friend. But there was a girl or two where it was going really well, and then they quit the internet. This is something that's surprising to me is people quit the internet and they're just done. Or they quit social media, and that's just it. It's very interesting to see that as like someone who relies on social media for so many things. Not only for interaction, but just because of the YouTube channel and everything. Also because we have a podcast, and it's fun making a podcast, and having people listen to it. You need social media to advertise these things. I can't fathom not being on social media because it's so necessary for so much of my hobbies. That would be great for future careers. Oh, that's our time? Okay, so we can skip whales. They're not that important. Nuke the whales. Why nuke the whales? Gotta nuke some. So let's talk about my lost friends. So this is the sad part. So this part, all you need to know is, so it's not going to be a long thing anyway, but a childhood friend has died. One of my childhood friends, that's what I mean. He was born 1 or 2 hours before or after me, I don't remember anymore. We grew up on the same street. We were friends. He was my best friend, yep. He was my best friend. For the first half of my life. Once college happened, I was not around them anymore, because college happened. They were doing their own thing, and there was just separation. Just finding out they're dead, though, is a hell of a thing. It's a hell of a thing for a lot of things. But, okay, so that's the TLDR. You can leave now if you don't want to hear the last parts of it. So it's very, very unfortunate. It is very much a mortality reminder. When someone who is exactly your age, exactly by a time of 1 or 2 hours, they're gone. I have not been able to process it, honestly. I really have not. There were ups and downs and things like that, but they were my best friend growing up. The way they died is the devastating part of it. Very unfortunate. They died of a heroin overdose. Scarf lost his mother when he was 13 years old. That's when she died. She died of a drug overdose as well. There's a reason why I don't touch any drugs. Or, I don't think I even had any inclination, but after my mother, that was all completely gone. Any even just consideration. I touch none of it. I don't even touch, of course, the marijuana. No, I don't touch weed. I don't touch it. I don't F with it. I don't F with anyone with weed. Because that's where my mom started. Now, weed is not a gateway. You don't do the one thing, then you go to other things. But I know my mom started at weed, and then she just kept going further and further and further, and she went overboard. I drink alcohol maybe once a month. In a social setting, maybe I'll drink it twice, because I like cider, but I like cider for the taste, not for the alcohol. I've never drunk to drunkenness. I drink it because I enjoy the taste of it. I drink sake because I enjoy the burn of it. I drink vodka for the same reason, but I only drink them maybe once or twice a month. I don't go to excess. And I probably will never will, because of what has happened to my mother, and now a childhood friend. I judge no one for why they take drugs. People take them for different reasons. I don't know, well, I know partially why my mother, what happened with her. It's unfortunate. That ain't a story I'm telling. People need an escape, and drugs were her escape. And drugs was his escape. He was going through a tough time in life. Things weren't working out. Work wasn't working out. His dad died a month before he did. He was already addicted at this point. But he got even deeper into it. A month after his dad died, he dies of a heroin overdose. Sometimes people go into the darkness, willingly, unwillingly, just whatever. It happens. People go into darkness for different reasons. And sometimes people don't come back out. We have different things to fight and cope with the darkness. I think Kirby's how I cope. Kirby is how I cope with it. Well, that and, friendship and making... Okay. Kirby is one of the things that is how I cope with the darkness, with my depression, with the gnawing feeling within. Kirby's how I cope. That's why I have 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a piglet, doesn't count. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 23, 24, 5. I have 25 Kirbys in this room. You only see some of them, because I'm too lazy to bring them all out. They're just all over my room. I see this cute little guy and he makes me smile. That is one of my coping things. The other coping was this channel. For the creative part of me, and I've said this many times, is I needed to create, and this channel allowed me to create. And so the channel was another way to cope with my feelings with life. I was able to make something. I was able to make people happy, able to entertain people, educate people. Just a bunch of different things. That was another cope. And food has definitely been a cope as well. When I'm having a bad day, I get a cake or something. That has definitely been a cope. It has for sure been a cope. I have filled the void with sweet things. I've filled the void with cute things. And I filled the void with this. This is how I filled the void. Of course, the food part, of course, could be better. And that's what I'm working on now, going to the gym and just trying to eat less cakes. Don't look at Twitter where I bought 5 cakes. I didn't eat all of them. I gave them to my family as well. But I did buy a bunch of cakes. That was one of my oh, I didn't mention that. My tire blew out. So I'm like, well, there goes my day. That's why I canceled a stream for a whole day. And I went and bought cakes. I also went to Daiso. I didn't know what Daiso was. I checked it out. A lot of cute girls. But they had like I got a bunch of like Japanese things, which was cool. Like I got like Pocky and stuff. But that's a sidetrack. That's how I cope. This is how I cope now. I filled the void as best I can with Kirby, with food, with this channel. Other parts that fill the void is just friendships and having friends. And Jinx has heard me complain about or be existential about so many things. That's the other part as well, is Jinx is my best friend. Thanks to Jinx's just listening to me bitch or cry or whatever about life has definitely been helpful as well. And that's why it's important to talk to people when you're dealing with depression. It really is, because you have people who can listen to you vent. But of course, the warning is you don't only use them for venting, or else they'll get tired of that, because they don't want to be your vent. They're there to be your friend, not just there to listen to your troubles. But friendship helps with that, for sure. Jinx has been my best friend for 12 years now. This dude was my best friend since I was so very young, so I can't really count like 1 or 2 years, obviously. Might be just as long. I'd say 12 years as well. Wow. Hey, that's something. Jinx has been my best friend for just as long as this guy was. And he's gone now. It's a weird feeling. When it's people your age going out, I suppose. It really affects your mortality picture, I suppose. Also going to funerals. The thing, like the older you get, the more funerals you're going to go to, and that's just a scary thought. There's nothing more to this vlog. I think that's everything. He was my best friend for a long time, and now he's gone. I can't think of, like, because this is like little like kid and young teenage and all that stuff. Like the only stories I can think of are just random, just nothing really concrete or a good story to tell. Just randomness of children. But I think back and I think of all the things he did, and I think of all the reckless things he did, and it's like it just tells me like, yeah, that was an end that could have happened. I have no idea how to end this vlog. So I'm trying to think of a funny story, but I can't think of any. I can only think of the sad ones right now. That's too bad. Yeah, I can't think of anything. So, fade to black. No. So, that is the vlog. That is the thing about life. I feel like it's a weird thing about the human condition, is just getting used to things and dealing with the negatives of life. Dealing with loss and the many different versions of loss. Loss and defeat, loss of, well, people you cared about, loss of standing, loss of just things. Our entire life is us dealing with loss in some way or another and attaining triumph in other ways. That's life. That's really life. And the better we get at it, I think, like the more we understand our condition in life and how to deal with it, I think allows us to be in a better, just flat plane to go higher, I guess. Is that the lesson from this episode? I guess so. So, there you go. That right there is the vlog. I had fun talking. Hope you had fun watching and listening. And that's what's all about, isn't it? Having fun, things come by. And see you next time. Oof.